The Conversation is the film that Francis Ford Coppola made in between The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2. And of course, he also made Apocalypse Now at the end of the 1970s, capping what may have been the greatest run of films in any director's career, really. It's certainly up for debate. We're going to get into this all-time classic, this Palme d'Or winner, as the final film in our Yes We Can arc here on the Golden Hour Film Podcast this week. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Golden Hour Film Podcast. Yes, we're going to be covering The Conversation, the kind of unheralded, whatever you want to say, Francis Ford Coppola film of the 1970s. Definitely the one that doesn't get as much traction as The Godfather, The Godfather Part 2 or Apocalypse Now, but in my opinion, certainly for what it is, every bit as good. Certainly it's for very different reasons, just as good as any of those classics. I've seen it before. I absolutely loved it. But we're going to talk to someone now who hasn't seen it before. First time watching it, Harry. What did you think?
Yeah, absolutely amazing. I had no idea what this film was about heading into it. I just knew it had Gene Hackman and John Cazale in it. I didn't know that Harrison Ford was going to be in this film. That was a unbelievably pleasant surprise. He is so great in this film. And of course, the uncredited director who shows up as a surprise in this film, who I won't spoil just yet, is also, fantastic. As soon as I saw him, I was like, Leonardo DiCaprio me. I'm like, what? But this film's amazing. Honestly, one of the best sounding films maybe ever. The sound design in this film is redonkulous, and very much like intentionally so, because the film centers around a bug, essentially. Gene Hackman plays a guy called Harry Call, very cool name, who, using various microphones and technology that he builds himself, he is a man for hire when it comes to getting the dirt on people, finding out what people are saying. He uses all sorts of microphones, and that premise alone, coupled with the sound design, make this film, like, it is impossible for the lead character or for the audience to like sit still, because you just don't know if someone's listening in, and that's very much helped by the sound design. You never know in a situation if someone's being spied on, or if someone's being tricked, or if someone's being recorded, or if someone's listening in the wall next to you or from the building across the street. You just don't know. And it's done so effortlessly, but the direction, the sound design, it's so hard to watch this film and like be comfortable on a first time watching. It is towards the end it goes full blown horror as well. It is an unsettling film, but I absolutely loved it. How about you?
Yeah, no, the sound design is like one of, like you said, it's just, it is the film really. The film does not work. The whole conception of the film is about the sound design. The score by David Shire is just unbelievably unsettling and just effective at kind of raising the suspense and raising the kind of suspicion about what actually is happening here. The opening park scene where we see Harry at work, he's an incredibly competent, talented guy. Like he's referred to by everyone in the similar field as him as like the guy when it comes to surveillance.
The best bug in the West.
The best, exactly. Like he literally like is a legend in his industry. And the scene at the start with him and Stan, played by the late great John Cazale, obviously one of only 5 films he ever made as well. Which is
what a joke of a filmography.
That guy's batting average is just like obviously it's because of how young he was when he passed, but he was ridiculously high batting average. Fair play to that guy. So the scene at the start where he, Stan, and then another kind of freelancer who actually ends up being turns out he's a cop who's just for hire by Harry. So Harry is someone who will just like kind of hire these cops to do freelance work for him on their days off, or whatever. Again, ethically, again raises a number of questions there. But anyway, as we see, like this meticulously planned, multiple kind of technology using kind of eavesdropping kind of scenario that they're going on. Like they literally
Bit of
like,
a caper.
it's a caper, and it's like this really really busy square out in the open. So they can't, you obviously can't let them know that they're being watched and listened to. So they have to use a bunch of different technologies, and obviously it's an incredible opening. It's so effective at conveying A, how good he is at his job, and B, just definitely setting up what the actual film is going to be about. And what I love about this is it's like it's about 40 minutes into the film when you actually hear the line, "He'd kill us if it, what's the line? He'd kill us if he
He'd
had
kill
the
us if he
chance.
got the chance.
He'd kill us if he got the chance." 40 minutes in, if that was made like in today's world, this was a film that was made today, you would hear that line within 10 minutes, and it's like
Yeah.
the film is it's so clever in how much it gives you and how much it doesn't give you. So it's constantly playing this game of what are we going to show, and what are we going to tell, and what are we not going to show, and what we're not going to tell, and it's all the better for it. And again, we'll come to the twist a little bit later. But yeah, so Harry's a guy who he's very much a loner. He's very much obviously, because he knows and he's well immersed in the surveillance kind of state, as much involved in these kind of surveillance, the surveillance world. He does not trust basically anybody. Like even Stan, who's his employee, doesn't trust him. Doesn't let him in on their kind of more than what he just needs to know. He's not going to tell him any more than that. He's a guy who pays a woman. What's interesting about this is apparently an earlier draft of the film is Harry actually owns the building that he sleeps in. They changed that because when he goes to meet a woman called Amy, he has sex with her and then he gives her money for her rent. So it's basically implied that he's giving her sex for rent, or she's giving him sex for rent as well, whatever way you want to call it. But so he's very much not like necessarily the most moral guy for a bunch of reasons. We do find out about is a little bit in his backstory as well. So a guy called Bernie, who Harry is in competition with, but like Bernie is very much looks up to Harry. He's like the Harry of the East, as it were. And he talks about this technology that he's developed when it comes to phone lines, and you can't really tell, and that could be very important. FYI.
Yeah, as well. Gotta shout out my boy Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
The story behind him in this film is so amazing as well. Because initially in the film, he was only supposed to be a one-scene character. His character didn't have a name. And again, just the reasoning is hilarious. It's very 70s coded. Harrison Ford read into his character that his character was a closeted homosexual. So he decided to wear a really outlandish suit, which somehow, when he arrived on set in the suit, everyone was like, oh, and they all copped that the character was a closeted homosexual by the suit he was wearing. Very 70s coded, I know. But like Francis Ford Coppola, when he saw this and he saw him on set, was so enamored by Harrison Ford reading so much into his one-line character that he then named his character, and the character then became a character in the film. And may I add, an unbelievable character in this film. He is, because obviously the film is also a lot about context, and we'll get to that later, but with the context that we were given with his character, Martin Stett, he is the most terrifying man in the world because of the implications of what his character means. We know nothing about his character, but based on what Harry's assumptions are about the character, based on the context of the audio that he's recorded, he thinks this guy could be like the most dangerous man in the world. Therefore, the direction of his character, the sound design around his character, the shadows on his face, he is just utterly terrifying. There's a scene, one of the best scenes, one of the best shot scenes in the film for me, is when Harry realizes that this recording might just be used to basically do the dirt on this young couple, and that this young couple are in danger of them being murdered by a unknown figure known as the director, who's clearly paying for this audio. And Harrison Ford plays Martin Stett, who's the middleman between Harry and the director. So when this is the context that we have, and Harry then bumps into the woman from the couple for the first time in the lift, it is directed so well, because first, he's clearly a very anxious man. He's taking on everything quite poorly as he's trying to unravel this mystery. Everything's just getting to him. He actually sees the guy from the couple first in the hallway, and that kind of sets him off. And then Harrison Ford's character starts coming down the hall as the lift doors are closing, and he's panicking, and then everybody gets in, and the elevator feels so tight and like compact. And then everyone gets out, and she comes in, and he tries to get away from her, and all of a sudden the lift is shot like it's this giant hallway. Like, the lift just feels huge now that it's just the two of them in it, and he's just trying to get away, but he can't. And that scene is shot amazingly. But yeah, basically, when Harry realizes that this audio may be used by their eventual murderer, he then starts to doubt everything, because we learn later on that this isn't the first time that if this audio is used by a murderer to kill someone, this wouldn't be the first time that that's happened to Harry. But yeah, we find that out a lot later.
Yeah, we find out that Harry was involved in basically a presidential campaign, so basically digging up dirt on a former president. But there was this Teamsters person, or this Teamsters figure, high-ranking Teamsters figure, obviously from the unions, who Harry was told to dig up dirt on, and it ended up with that person's family all dead, including the kids. Harry obviously blames himself. Like Francis Ford Coppola always says the film's about responsibility and about culpability. So how responsible and culpable is Harry really? He was the one who obviously dug up the dirt, which led to this terrible thing happening. But he wasn't the one who pulled the trigger. He didn't know that was what was going to happen. So how much does he blame himself? How much should he blame himself? How much is he responsible? And obviously he blames himself quite a lot for that, which is why when he hears the tapes and he puts two and two together and realizes that people are in danger, he doesn't know what to do. So he doesn't want to give the tapes over to the director, because when he goes obviously to meet the director, Stet's there, the director's not there, so he gives the money back, and he's like, no, you can get this back when I meet the director in person and stuff. So he wants to be sure everything's on the clear and stuff like that. So then we cut to the scene. Well, no, we don't cut to the scene. A little bit later on, though, we get the scene with Bernie, and Harry's a little bit of a party. So he's kind of a religious figure. Harry, he's quite religious.
Yeah, he does not like it when people take the Lord's name in vain.
No, yeah, Stan takes the Lord's name in vain, and he gets pissed off, and they end up having an argument, which leads to Stan walking out and kind of going to the competitor. Yeah. But he also goes to church, Harry, and he goes to confession. Now, he does mention it's been a while since he's been to church, so he is a religious person, a man of faith, but he's not necessarily a regular churchgoer. But this is where he talks about people have been hurt in the past because of things I do, etc., etc. But as we've seen with the woman who he gave money for sex to, he's far from the most moral or ethical person you could meet. So when he has a bit of a drink in him, he goes to what I've called surveillance con in my notes. Basically a convention for fucking surveillance and a way to kind of display all the latest technologies. And he's a bit of a legendary.
Strange to think that this exists, but
yeah, exactly. So
everyone's just outing their secrets,
and that's where Bernie he was obviously his competitor / kind of fanboy, gives his little demonstration of his latest technology with the phones, and it can't be tapped, and you never know where it's coming from. You actually don't know that it's been tapped. But Bernie's asking Harry to go into business, and Harry's kind of stop. I'm kind of valued more than that. I don't need that. You need me more than I need you, kind of thing. But they do go back to Harry's office, which is there's a bunch of wire mesh basically to keep kind of any interference out. So that's what that's about. But there is like a bed there, so he does sometimes sleep in this office, and they have a little bit of a party. Um, Stands there, obviously John Cazale stands there, and a bunch of others, and yeah, that's when we kind of Harry has a bit too much to drink, and he gets a bit braggadocious, and he starts to obviously talk about some of his more kind of wilder exploits when it comes to the surveillance business.
Yeah.
And then he sleeps with the wrong person.
Yeah, he does, and then he ends up having a unbelievably well directed nightmare. Basically, we learn a lot about his character. It's maybe a little bit explainy, but who cares? We find out a lot that we didn't know as a result of this nightmare. He has a lot of regrets from his childhood, and basically he's in his dream. He's following the girl from the couple, telling her all these terrible things that he's done in his life, almost as a attempt to get her on his side so that he can explain that what he's done might be a terrible thing that he's about to do to her, or what he may have done to her could be terrible. He's obviously having this nightmare, and then when he wakes up, turns out that the woman who he slept with is gone, and so are the audio tapes.
Yeah, she's stolen the tapes, which, by the way, was like that was actually a quick kind of pivot from the original plan. So that was actually shot, believe it or not, on the set of Chinatown, because they needed an extra day to shoot. Francis Ford Coppola actually didn't direct it. It was a guy. It was the editor / sound design person who's Walter Murch, I believe his name is. But and it's actually Gene Hackman's brother. When the shot over the shoulder, it's actually Gene Hackman's brother who is a stand-in because Gene Hackman wasn't available. He was on another film. But yeah, basically that whole sequence of they needed a shot basically to show that the tapes were gone, because originally it was going to be a different idea, but they ended up being like, right, okay, the tapes we're going to settle on this idea. They've stolen the tapes. She has stolen them on behalf of the director, who's obviously set up that they want the tapes. So yeah, he's pretty pissed. He's straight on the phone to Stet, and yeah, Stet's like, listen, we have your money. They're still going to get paid, but we couldn't afford to kind of let you destroy them because they're too valuable to us. So yeah. that's when things start to go south for Harry.
Yeah, this is when it becomes a bit of a horror movie.
Yeah.
But he goes to the office of the director and Stet, and the director is played by Robert Duvall. What? Not in the credits. Pretty cool, gotta be said. And yeah, it seems as though, because there's a picture of the woman from the couple in the wall of this office. So yeah, they're obviously trying to find out something to do with this woman and the guy who she's with as well. What we find out from this conversation is that the director is pretty upset with what he's hearing, and Stet is forcing him to listen to it. Basically, is like, you need to listen to this. Like, ultimately, you paid the money for it. You need to find out what she says here. And the director gets quite annoyed then when Harry starts counting his money in the room, and he tells him to count his money outside. The director is not one bit pleased with what he's hearing. One key piece of information from the audio is a address and a date in a hotel room that Sunday. So Harry goes straight to that hotel in an attempt to warn her and him that obviously the director now has the tapes, and obviously they said that he might kill them if he got the chance. And he tries to get the room that they say, but it turns out that the room has been occupied, so obviously they are there. So he manages to convince the guy at the counter to give him the room next door, and it seems as though, because obviously it's totally done like on purpose. Like with the first scene, obviously we see just how good at his job he is. So with him setting up in the room next door, we're obviously led to believe this guy is ridiculously good at his job. So he's setting up, and we have all the confidence in the world, and then shit hits the fan.
Yeah, so he hears a commotion in the room next door, and he's wondering what to do. He's kind of flapping and flailing around for a bit, like this isn't obviously something that he's used to. So he ends up going out the window, And then we just see like almost like an homage to Psycho. We just see like
Yeah.
a body up against the glass and blood, and like
Yeah, we
Harry's
see
just
her body up against the
yeah,
glass and the hand covered in blood just wiping down the glass.
it's amazing.
But you can't see through. It's like it's what you call that kind of glass. You can't really see through it.
Yeah,
Like
it's
you can
like
only see through it when something's pressed up against it.
stained glass, maybe.
So he
from
doesn't
the
get a clear view of what's happened to her. But all you can see is her head and then the blood just splat across the wall. And he freaks out.
freaks out. He heads straight back to the room. He's lying in bed. The TV is playing very loud. Clearly, he's having a bit of a kind of just a bit of a nervous breakdown, or just a complete lack of knowing what to do.
Total lack of action here.
Yeah. So the sound design, by the way, over that whole the whole murder scene was just epic. And then, so obviously a few hours later, then he's leaving and he's going out next door. So he picks the lock to the room and he's creeping inside, and just amazing camera work. The camera is panning around the room. Looks very normal. There's nothing untoward. There's nothing out of the ordinary. He goes into the bathroom.
Obviously we'd just seen the nightmare scene as well.
Yeah,
it's implied that this was just all a nightmare and he's just made the whole thing up in his head.
Yeah. So he goes into the bathroom and the curtain is drawn. So he takes a breath and he's like, oh, and he opens the curtains real quickly. No one there. And then he flushes the toilet, and then the most horror image of certainly of the whole film, if not like one of the most memorable images I think we've ever covered on the podcast. All of a sudden, just the whole buckets and buckets of blood start to rise out of the toilet, and tissues coming back up, and it's like obviously they've cleaned up whatever has gone on here. Yeah, no, it's no dream. There has been a murder or murders, and there's been a cover up. So Harry fucking legs it straight to the director's office.
Yeah.
Security, they're stopping him from going inside, but then he goes outside, and he's wondering what to do. But he goes outside, and who's in the limo? But it's the woman who is supposedly dead. So she's not murdered after all. So what the fuck is going on here?
No, it's an unbelievable twist, because then we see a commotion. We see basically she's coming out of the reception of the office. She's surrounded by a crowd, and then we see the fella from the couple, and we see a very upset looking Harrison Ford in the background as well. He's clearly not happy with what just happened. And as I said, the film it's obviously about like taking ownership of your actions, but it's also very much about context, because with the context that we were given, that audio clip, he'd kill us if he had the chance, sounds very menacing, and they sound like they are utterly terrified. But then we listen to it again, obviously through the sound design, and it's he'd kill us if he had the chance.
It's so brilliant. It's a genius twist.
Turns out that couple actually murdered the director. And the shot then we see of Robert Duvall in the body bag, well, not the body bag, but like wrapped in the... Oh my god, it is also just an unbelievably amazing shot.
And the bongos are playing really loud, just overwhelming. The sound design again, just an assault on the senses, really overwhelming. So he's completely gone wrong. So it took him, because early in the film, the reason he's so good at his job, and we see how good he is at his job when he's actually fine-tuning things, and it takes him quite a while to even get that line, he'd kill us if he had the chance. But he obviously didn't do a good enough job, because he missed that vocal inflection. He'd kill us if he had the chance. It completely changes what you've actually been watching for the last hour and a half, 2 hours. The film just completely flips on his head, and you've been watching a completely different film all along. It's genius. So Harry's in his apartment. He's playing the saxophone, which, he's quite a keen sax player. But he's obviously bereft, and he's down in the dumps and he doesn't know what to do. And the phone rings. He answers it. There's no one there. And then the phone rings again. And then Stet's on the phone. And he says, we know that you know. Don't get involved any further. We're listening. So that just, now the person doing the surveillance is being surveilled. is being
Yeah.
eavesdropped on. It's just brilliant. Harry's going around his whole apartment sweeping for bugs. He breaks a statue of the Virgin Mary. Obviously, he's a devout Catholic, so that's like a pretty strong thing to do. He's ransacking the place. He's tearing down walls looking for the bug. He just obliterates his whole apartment, and the ominous score starts to play again. He's just kind of playing his saxophone, completely devoid of any kind of hope, completely devoid of any idea of what to do now with his life. Like he doesn't know what his life is going to look like from now, and that's the end. So that's the conversation. For me, absolutely amazing film, 5 stars. Even better on a rewatch. I gave it 4.5 the first time I watched it. It's bumped up to a 5 on a rewatch. Gene Hackman, it's my favourite performance of his. Probably because it's quite different than most of the amazing kind of performances he's known for, which are more authoritative figures, the more positions of authority, etc., etc. This is a guy who is very introverted, very lonely, very just kind of quiet and downbeat, and very against type kind of performance, but he's equally as amazing as anything he's done. Francis Ford Coppola doing this in between The Godfather Part 1 and 2, and even before, like obviously 5-6 years before he made Apocalypse Now. I mean, the guy was in his bag at this stage of his career.
Yeah.
Holy shit. The sound design and the score is incredible. The editing is perfect because it's like it's taking the most mundane aspects of life, like people just walking through a park, people having mundane conversations, people in the back of a van listening in, and at no point is the film boring. It's constantly gripping. It's never not gripping. It's just an amazing film. 5 stars for me. What about you, Harry?
Yeah, this is incredible. As well, it's worth noting that they totally cover up the murder by saying it was a car crash as well, which is just like, he reads it in the newspaper and then he realizes, unbelievable film, incredible twist ending, incredible direction, incredible performances from Gene Hackman, Harrison Ford. But yeah, the sound design is where it's at. The sound design is unbelievable. One of the best sounding films of the 70s. I really want to see Blowout. I haven't seen it yet, but I have a feeling it would probably make a good double feature with this, with John Travolta. I really high up on the watch list, and this film has made me want to watch that film even more. I gave it 4.5 stars. I couldn't agree more. Francis Ford Coppola. It's gas. Like, that run that he went on is absolutely insane. And as well, got to give him credit as well. The run, I know it wasn't like a straight up run, like there's films in between, but like Harrison Ford, holy shit. He does this, he does Star Wars, he does Apocalypse Now, he does Blade Runner, he does Indiana Jones, like the run, and he did American Graffiti beforehand. The run that Harrison Ford went on is incredible, one of the best runs an actor's ever been on as well, I think. But yeah, you gotta talk about that Francis Ford Coppola run. It is a joke.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, what about because there's a bunch of theories about the ending. So people are saying, because obviously he says we're listening. So people are, there's a bunch of theories. People are saying it's the Bernie has tapped the phone lines as a way of kind of fucking over Harry. So it's the phone lines, and he obviously is not, like, it's completely impenetrable, as Bernie completely kept saying. So it's like, could be that. People are saying the only thing he didn't ransack was his saxophone. So it could be that. Yeah. Could be in the saxophone. My personal theory is, and I could be wrong about this, it could be that they're just fucking with him and they're actually not listening.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised with that as well.
Because if you watch it back, they call, he answers and there's no answer, and then he hangs up, and then they call again. So that could be them saying, right, let's just check his home. Do you know what I mean? That could be like, right, fuck it, let's check this guy's home. All right, he's there, yeah, okay, now we'll go with the plan. That could be them just being like, right, well, let's make this guy so paranoid and make him think we're listening in when we're actually not. Now, having said that, there is every chance there is a bug, and they are surveilling him. So I'd say my personal theory is, if there is a bug, it's the Bernie thing where they've probably tapped his phone lines somehow, and that's how they're going to get to him. But yeah, the fact that it ends even on that kind of a cliffhanger, it's not really a cliffhanger, but certainly like a way of just, this guy is never going to feel secure or safe, probably ever again. like his whole world has been upended. It's just an amazing
I
ending.
wouldn't be surprised if with the editing and the sound design of the film that the most logical conclusion is for me that they are just fucking with him,
Yeah.
because ultimately this film is just fucking with its audience the whole time.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, you never know when say Bernie's listening in. You just don't know. You don't know with other characters when Harry's listening in. You just don't know. Like, there is literally a scene where it turns out that Bernie was actually listening to all of Harry's conversations because he planted a pen in his pocket
exactly,
that was actually a microphone. That lends itself to both theories, to be honest. It lends itself to the theory that maybe Bernie has bugged him as a spite, because like that whole relationship is basically Bernie's like, oh, I really want to know how you did your most incredible wiretap, and Harry's like, fuck off, Bernie. And Bernie's a bit like
the jilted kind of the jilt.
What's the name of Syndrome from Incredibles? What was his name?
Oh, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah, the jilted kind
whenever
of
Mr. Incredible shunned him.
Fanboy. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Bit of syndrome here, but that wouldn't surprise me one bit if that's the way it goes, or if it does go more along the route of how the actual, like, to get meta, how the actual film goes, which is let's just fuck with him. Let's just fuck with him.
It could be. There's also two. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely one or the other. I don't think it's in the saxophone, because that would make no sense.
Yeah, sound wise doesn't make sense
to me. Like sound wise, it makes no sense to me. But yeah, I would say either Bernie has got all syndrome and he's fucked up his icon, or it is just the film being meta and being like, let's just fuck it on one more time.
There is also a theory that it's in his glasses, because throughout the film he does kind of keep adjusting his glasses. Now that's what a lot of glasses people who wear glasses do. So, but like that probably is the last place he would look in a way. Like he needs those glasses. So, but yeah, my personal opinion is they are probably just fucking with him. They're probably just doing it to make him feel unsettled and that he can't say anything and he can't come forward. And that's a way to kind of get him to not come forward. So, but yeah, if anyone has obviously watched the film, if you haven't seen it, it's an unbelievable film. And if you have seen it, get in the comments and let us think what your opinion is, what your theory is, because there's so many out there and they're all compelling theories in my opinion. And like there's not necessarily, we'll never actually know for sure, and that's one of the things I love about it. But yeah, there's a bunch of different theories. But yeah, that's the conversation. Absolutely amazing 1970s film, amazing Francis Ford Coppola film, and I think a brilliant way to end our Yes We Can arc here on the podcast. So Harry, we're going to be going in a different direction now. What's the next arc we've got planned on the podcast?
So I'll give you all a second to think about it. I'll give you all a clue. It is a volume 2 of a previous arc we have done. Think about it. Film Club Volume 2. Yes, the arc where we just kind of pick whatever movie we want. Basically, we're going to do it the same way that we did Film Club Volume 1, which we are now retconning. That's what it was called the whole time, is Film Club Volume 1. It was always called that. It was never just called Film Club. Basically, every week, we are going to announce what the next week's film is. If you want to know what we're covering next week, simple. You got to watch the episode. You got to hang around till the end. Obviously, we'll do the timestamps and stuff so you can avoid spoilers if you haven't seen that week's film, but you want to know what next week's is. But yes, that being said, we better announce what the first Film Club Volume 2 film is going to be. It is the Citizen Kane of all films. It is Citizen Kane. Yes, we are doing Citizen Kane because... a while ago, we did say, I don't know if it was our 1 year anniversary episode or our 50th episode, Shane said that one of the films he wanted to cover that we hadn't covered, that neither of us had seen before, was The Magnificent Ambersons. And then when we were discussing it, we were like, wait, we should probably do Citizen Kane if we're doing Orson Welles. It was a bit of a light bulb moment. So yeah, Citizen Kane. I'm sure it'll be very easy to... narrow down, similar to Persona. They get compared to each other a lot when it comes to like film discourse, as to like how often they try and like get broken down and discussed, and the endings and the ambiguity and whatnot. But yes, we are doing the Citizen Kane of all films, Citizen Kane, Orson Welles' directorial debut on the podcast. Obviously, he appeared previously in the Orson Welles role as Harry Lime, another Harry that we've covered on the podcast, but Yeah, we're doing this arc for 2 months. That means 8 films, I do believe. So it'll take us through June and July. We've a load of good ones. I'm not gonna lie, we've a load of good ones scheduled here. A good few that neither of us have seen. So looking forward to that. Obviously, we've both seen Citizen Kane before, though. So yeah, I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, it's been a few years for me as well.
Yeah, it's been a while. I've seen it a few times, but it's been a while. So looking forward to it. Film Club Volume 2. And obviously, like we did last time, I'll throw up the. I'll be honest, I made it slightly more obvious this time with the graphic, because last time, God love you, none of you could guess what the posters were because they were too pixelated. But yeah, I've done a slightly less pixelated version of the pixelated posters, so feel free on our Instagram to have a little guess as to what films we will be covering for the next 2 months on the Golden Hour Film Podcast.
Yeah, and that's a great way, like I said, to end the Yes We Can arc, and some fun stuff coming up next week, Citizen Kane, as Harry said. So without further ado, I think we'll leave it there, will we?
Yeah, next week I'm going to be tanned, hopefully, because I will have actually come back from Cannes. So yeah, if I come back all red in the face, curse future me for not wearing sunscreen.
Yeah, that's episode 58 of the Golden Hour Film Podcast. Yes. So yeah, we'll see you next week for Citizen Kane. Thanks for watching, everyone.
And yeah, see you then.